what came up. Oh, is it happy again? Yes. OK, this is the data that we just entered. Now let's see what happens if I want to add another field to my entity. So we have this, mix attendee. Let's say now we also want to deal with the concept of age. And that's really all I need to do. Now if I go back in here and refresh, of course everyone is really young, but I can go and change that. And so on. As expected, once I go in here, now you have this new thing that automatically came up. I mean, contrast that with what you would have to do in a much more schematized SQL world, where you would have to go and deal with changing table and doing things like that. Here, you literally have your entity, and it gets automatically mapped to what looks like a table. Of course, the reality is, because it's a very unschematized world, each of those entities here you can look at as being a dictionary, a collection of name-value pairs. And because this is dynamic data, I can do all the fun stuff that we showed before. I mean, I could do a range to import a namespace. Let's do again. OK, you clearly have to be 18 to be here. And now if I try to get out of that range, I get this validation. So really, all the goodies that we've seen with both dynamic data and domain service apply here. Or to show more stuff in domain service, even though our implementation here is dead simple, you're absolutely not limited to that, of course, because you get this attendee here. You could totally say attendee.name equal attendee.name.toUpper. And this is the update method. Now, if I perform, let's refresh here, and if I change, let's just put Bill 2 here. And sure enough, now we have capitalized thing. So let me see how much time I have, 16 minutes. So yes, since we have a few minutes, I'll actually go back to the previous demo that was more showing dynamic data and show a little bit more of what makes it work, because I left a lot of things kind of mysterious without going into detail. And what we have here, let's just take a closer look at the various things that we have under this dynamic data folder. We've looked at field templates and filters. So field templates is the thing that renders one cell inside one value, basically. Filters template is what allowed us to have this fancy filter that had all the checkboxes and things. There are other things we haven't looked at, and the important ones are page templates and entity templates. So let's take a quick look. What is a page template? We have one for each kind of view that we have. So like list is the view that, let's go back and run it again. Yeah, I apologize for switching back and forth between demos, but I was worried I was a little short on time. But since we have a few minutes, let's close this. Yes. So I go to products, and here I'm seeing this view. What is making this thing happen is the fact that I have this list.aspx, which contains fairly standard ASP.NET things. It has a grid view, and it has a domain data source, like the demo I showed you earlier. But the major distinction is that it has no table-specific information, because the same page is supposed to work for all the tables. Just to show you that very quickly, if I add like exclamation mark, why is it read only? Here, and refresh, we get exclamation mark here. If I then go to categories, it happens as well, because this is a template that is used for all the tables. Now, instead, if I wanted to specifically for the product table have something different, what I would do is take this list.aspx, copy it under custom pages/products, and I would have a copy there which would override the default behavior. And you can do it for list, insert, edit, details, and so on. So I'm not going to go into details of that. You get the general idea for those page templates. Now, entity templates is actually a new concept which did not exist in SP1. And the idea here is if I go to the details view of something, the entity template is what renders just one entity. And the best way to demonstrate this, or let's go to the edit mode. If I go to entity templates here and I look at the edit entity template, this is something that repeats over the values, basically. So every row that you see here is one iteration, if you may, of this template. Again, the best way to say that is to put some little text here. And if I refresh, now every row has this. And again, right now this applies to all the entities. If I go to show the detail of one category and put in edit mode, I'll get this. Maybe category is what I was looking at already, but I mean, you get the idea. It applies to all of them. I could make copies of this thing and make them specific to a particular entity. So you sort of get to first customize at a global level if you can do it in a way that is agnostic to any entity, or if you get to the level of customization that does not allow you to do that, you can go and have your private entity-specific thing, both for page templates and entity templates. So this pretty much concludes our talk, and I'll go again through the key takeaway, the things we've talked about. So first of all, MVC versus web form, well, it's a matter of choice. They're both still perfectly good. Web form is really not going away. As you can see, we're doing active development on that, even though MVC is getting the buzz more because it's new. And it is exciting, there is still a lot of new things happening in web forms. So what else did we look at today? Really, the big one is the domain data source, which we apply to all the various scenarios that we looked at. There was always that piece in the middle, which lets you essentially have more control over your data. Like, remove the magic of having ASP.NET pages stuck straight to the data access layer. Have your code in between. And we show how it applied to dynamic data. And finally, we showed some, I think, very cool way to apply that to the cloud. We have some bits that are available on CodePlex. If you go to ASP.NET/dynamic data, it will take you there. Not everything I showed today is there, but the domain data source is. I think the only part that isn't there today is the cloud stuff, and we will try to get it on there at some point if there is interest. We also have a forum on ASP.NET Dynamic Data. If you have any question about this technology or comments, it's a good place to post. And you can also email me directly, david.ebo@microsoft.com. And please complete the evaluation form on the way out. They told us to make a strong case about that. And that's it. So thank you. So now I'll take any questions that you guys have. Yep. Yeah. Yes. The domain